From ECW to WWE to TNA, Team 3D have been one of the most formidable tag teams in professional wrestling's history. It is my absolute pleasure to welcome my guest today, Team 3D's very own brother Devon. Devon, how are you?
Good, good.
How are things going in TNA now that you've been there for a couple of months? Does it feel like home?
It definitely feels like home. It feels like being back in ECW. TNA is basically exactly what Team 3D, the Dudleys, were looking for in terms of wrestling. You know, no more doing promos in the back and, you know, kind of like TV interviews. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm not saying that I didn't enjoy my stay in WWE because I did very much so. But the new regime came in. It just seemed like the whole product changed, and it took a lot of the wrestling away from the boys, and it's more talking, and that's just not us. So very happy and very pleased to be a part of TNA, which goes back to the basics, and that's just wrestling.
You've had some great matches already with America's Most Wanted and Team Canada. Who else are you looking forward to working with in TNA?
Oh, man. Well, you know, we've only just begun with AMW. I believe there's so much more for us to do with that. Also, Team Canada, we only had one match with them, and that turned out to be good, and I'm looking for many more. You have 3 Counts, another one, you know. Even though the fans like them and they like us, still it'll be a pleasure to go, you know, toe-to-toe with those guys. The Naturals, the same thing. I mean, even though they're fan favorites, you know, it'll be great to go against those guys as well. I mean, it's almost like when the Hardys, when the Hardy Boys and the Dudleys would go at it, both fan favorites, but yet we gave good matches, and people still remember those matches because of how good they were. TLC matches, you know, all of that stuff. So it was pretty good. I'm looking forward to getting in the ring with those guys again and having a long run just like we did with Edge and Christian and the Hardys.
Are you looking forward to introducing your specialty of the tables matches at Turning Point for AMW?
Oh, we're gonna be looking forward to introducing a lot of things. Not to mention not only just tables, but probably flaming tables as well.
Oh wow!
There's a lot of stuff that, you know, Team 3D, the Dudleys, have not been able to, you know, do yet in TNA because we have just gotten there. But we have a whole arsenal that we're ready to just unleash on America's Most Wanted. So if they thought that they had a little taste of the Dudleys within the past couple of months, they've been sadly mistaken. There's so much more that we have to offer. You know, in WWE, we were tamed. We were held back. And when I mean held back, we weren't really let loose the way we couldn't be let loose. And, you know, you got to understand because of, you know, different ball game. It's not like ECW with sponsors and things like that. So we had to be held back in a sense. Now the TNA is giving us full reign to be the Dudleys, to be Team 3D, and to be that ECW-style type of tag team. Now we're able to unleash a whole new fury on those who are against us in the ring.
What do you think the chances are for TNA taking Impact on the road in the future?
Oh, I think it's definitely a good thing. I think it's definitely going to happen. It's only a matter of time. Spike TV is so behind TNA and so behind them making it and giving us the opportunity to go out there and to do what we do that it's almost hard for us to lose. When we did the rating for the Thursday night special that we had out here for the 2-hour show, we did a .9, which was the same as we did on our regular Saturday night show. But the thing is, we only had less than a month to advertise it. You know, maybe half to advertise it. Where if we would have had more time, we most likely probably would have broken that 1 point mark. And if that was the case, forget about it. It's endless. Time will tell as things go on. The product will improve, which it already has, way before we've gotten there. Now that we've gotten there, the product has gotten even better. It's more exciting. And each and every one of those guys in that locker room, you know, give 110%, which is what makes TNA so special right now. They're giving the people what WWE isn't. And that's excitement now. That's wrestling. That's Impact, which is what we stands for, total nonstop action. Basically with that formula, taking that on the road and doing shows and things of that nature, it's so hard for us to lose in that capacity. It's only a matter of time before TNA actually explodes. Even though TNA has been around 3 or 4 years, there's still a lot of people that don't know what TNA is all about or haven't heard about TNA. And these are the wrestling fans that are not really hardcore wrestling fans. They don't go on the internet. They don't really buy the magazines. All they do is turn on the TV. Boom, they know what time it turns on. Boom, it's there. So these are not the really hardcore wrestling fans that we're trying to reach. As time goes on Spike TV and those 2-hour specials that we're doing on Spike, we will reach those people. And once they see the division and how good it is, we got guaranteed not only will we break that 1 mark, but we'll break 2, 3, 4, and maybe even 5.
Did you always sort of intend working as a tag team?
No, that I didn't see. I didn't see tag team. I was a huge fan of Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
And I actually thought that I was going to be the next Black Hulk Hogan.
Oh, right.
So I definitely saw myself doing some singles. Never really, a lot of singles really. Never really saw myself doing tag team. It was an opportunity that was given to me back in the ECW days when they hired me to become a Dudley. And it just took off from there. The formula that me and Bubba were able to produce was unstoppable. There's no reason to, try to fix anything that isn't broken. Broken. We've had this formula. We've been doing it for 10 years now, and it works. Not to say that I'm not interested in doing any tag team. Any singles work, which definitely will. The Reverend Devon character that I did in WWE didn't go off the way I wanted it to, and there's still a little bug in me about that, and still wanting to prove to people that I can do it. But for now, there's still a lot more for me and Bubba to basically accomplish. One is the tag team titles in NWA, and an organization that we're with right now in Japan called All Japan Pro Wrestling. Where a lot of great Americans have gone to and been able to, have a great career. And one tag team especially is the Road Warriors. They went out there and just basically conquered all Japan. We're basically looking to win those tag team titles as well. Not to mention they have a big annual tournament every year, and we're looking to accomplish that as well. I don't think we can not go to Japan and not be able to conquer it the way the Road Warriors did and be considered the best tag team ever. We have to do that in order to be taking that next step near the Road Warriors. So I think there's a lot more for us to do in that capacity. I think once that's accomplished, and if there's still time in my body for me to continue, then I will continue and maybe try that singles run.
Well, given the direction of most modern tag teams, how many promoters have wanted to split up, Team 3D to start singles feuds?
Well, the only promoters that ever tried to experiment with it was Vince, WWE.
Right.
At that time, and ECW didn't see it. They always saw it as a tag, and we had just gotten to TNA, so we haven't been able to even be considered splitting up at that point because there's still so much for us to do there. Vince was the only one. I think the timing in which it was done for us to split was the wrong time because there was still so many people out there that knew that there were a lot more to the Dudleys than what they had seen. And being that they hadn't seen it all and they knew it, even for those who had just only started watching the Dudleys when we had gotten to WWE and knew nothing about ECW, they knew there was still a lot more to us. And the end of the road wasn't even nearly, to the end for us. So in that aspect, the fans weren't ready. And it was almost, a given that you had to put us back together at that point at Survivor Series 2002. And when we did get back together, that Madison Square Garden show, that place erupted. It was probably loudest pop of the night. And I'm not just saying that because it's us, but, for anybody who would go and actually watch the show and see how that show progressed, it was the loudest pop for us that night.
You've worked in ECW and WWE. You've held the titles in both promotions multiple times. What do you think made the Dudleys, one of the most decorated tag teams in history?
Basically being on the same page, basically wanting to accomplish and conquer the same goal. You have many great tag teams that have come through this business, but none have, with the exception of the Road Warriors, none have have been on the same page. I mean, you had the Hart Foundation, don't get me wrong, great tag teams, but two different. You always saw Brett as being the star of it. Not taking anything from Jim the Anvil Neidhart, but you always saw him as being the star. The British Bulldogs really couldn't get it together. They were a fabulous tag team, fabulous. But basically, I guess they didn't get along, so to speak.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's the story that I hear. The Powers of Pain, the Warlord and the Barbarian, same thing. Demolition. I mean, the list goes on and on. The only tag team to ever be able to be successful, even from mid '80s to the present, was the Road Warriors. And they, because of the fact that they were on the same page, they thought alike, they think alike, they wrestled alike. I mean, they had so many things that was that was alike. And with that in mind, it just basically shot them up to stardom. And I think that's the same thing that has to do with us. We're on that same page as well. The thing that makes the Dudleys different is that we can basically do anything in that ring. If you want us to brawl, we can brawl. If you want us to be technicians, in a sense, we can be a little bit technician. If you want us to just wrestle, we can wrestle. We can adapt to any style. And I think if you can do that as a tag team, that's what makes you great.
How did it feel being part of the ECW One Night Stand earlier this year? Did that bring back some memories?
Oh, it brought back a lot of memories.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody that was a part of that show could actually say that they didn't feel anything, that they didn't feel what I felt in there in terms of going back to the old ECW days and getting in front of that hardcore crowd. I mean, I'm sorry, there's fans are fans, but there was no fans like the ECW fans. They were bloodthirsty. They were hungry. They basically, they determined your career. They basically let you know if you want to make it or not. If you can make it in front of the ECW fans, you can make it anywhere.
Yeah.
And it was so great to be in front of them again. It was so great to see a lot of the guys. Balls Mahoney, just incredible. Being who else? Just incredible. Mikey Ripwreck. The list goes on and on. It was the ECW was such a special time for the Dudleys and that whole company. Francine, the Sandman. As drunk as he was, Nova. I mean, Stevie Rich. I mean, it was so good. It was such a great feeling. It would never be duplicated. In my opinion, I think ECW, the way it should have went out, was One Night Stand. In my opinion, I know the fans may not like this when I say this, but I think ECW is over with. I think we should just go out on that note because it was such a high note.
Yeah.
And I think if you try to do another one like that, you won't get the same feeling. The people were so hungry and missed ECW so much that when One Night Stand came about, it was just like, wow, it was like that rush, that drug rush. And I hate to use this analogy, but it's almost like a drug user. When he takes that first hit, it's like it's no feeling that he's ever felt before, But then when you take another hit, you still the same feeling, but it's not as big as the first one. Well, this is like ECW. That One Night Stand was such a big hit that to try to do it again, yeah, it may be good, but it's definitely going to be like One Night Stand. One Night Stand was it. That's the way we should have went out.
There's a quote on the ECW DVD in which you say that you felt you went too far almost every night. Do you regret anything you said or did during that time with ECW?
Yeah, there was a lot of nights that we kind of went too far. I mean, almost too far. But do I regret it? No.
No. Right.
Because it would not have made ECW if we didn't push the envelope. We had to push the envelope. We were truly rebels. You know, we were an independent company that was trying to become the largest, the third largest company in wrestling, in the wrestling business at that time. So we had to. We had to go as far as we could possibly go. And sometimes we might have went too far. But that's what put ECW on the map.
Yeah.
ECW was put on the map because people took chances. And in this business, you have to take chances. And sometimes you fail, sometimes you succeed. Thank God ECW succeeded when they did.
Yeah.
You know, because if not, you would not have seen guys like Rob Van Dam. You would not have seen the W. You would not have seen Taz, Shane Douglas. You know, all these guys that were huge superstars in ECW that the WWE and WCW passed up.
Yeah, for
so
sure.
You look at them as being stars, but then all of a sudden, Paul Heyman, the genius that he is, the sick mind that he is, you know, he was able to produce and create these characters that were real to life, and basically, boom, made us into instant superstars, which now all of a sudden WCW and WWE wanted.
Speaking of the WWE, did it surprise you that they went after the Dudley's name and prevented you using it anywhere else?
Yes, it did. It did surprise me because when we left, you know, I only had one problem. That one problem was with Johnny Ace,
right?
Johnny Laurinaitis. Never had a problem with Vince.
Yeah.
Never had a problem with Stephanie Hunter or, you know, the McMahon family or anybody else in the organization. And the feud, now I'm not even going to say it was a feud, but the disagreement that I had with Johnny Ace, it was on a business level. You know, it was on a business level in terms of contract negotiation, and that was it. But as far as the name goes, yeah, it totally took me off guard. And for them to try to do that, you know, we knew it was wrong. Now, you know, WWE claims that they have the right to it. We know we have the right to it. Are we fighting them? You're damn right we are, because we worked too hard to make that name what it is today. So, you know, and you know, I'm just happy about that.
It's been a very sad week in the world of wrestling with the passing of Eddie Guerrero. What are some of your best memories of Eddie?
You know, me and Eddie, we weren't as close as him and Benoit, you know, him and Ray, but me and Eddie did have a very good relationship. It caught me totally off guard when I got the phone call that he had passed.
Yeah.
Me and Eddie talked a lot. Man, we embraced a lot. We prayed together a few times. You know, I knew his family, he knew mine. He would always ask about my family, my boys. I would always ask about his girls, you know, and it was a very, very good relationship between me and Eddie. And, you know, a lot of memories, fond memories that I have of Eddie is being in the ring with him.
Yeah.
You know, and him actually helping me out along the way, you know, especially in one of our singles matches that we had on SmackDown. Where, you know, I always used to tease Eddie. I said, if you just would have made that match into, instead of a non-title match, if you would have made it into a championship match, I'd be the champion before JBL. And he would laugh. He would laugh about it. And, you know, but it was great because that match, he helped me, you know, because when you're in a tag team for so long, you kind of get a little rusty on the singles. And he kind of guided me and helped me through it. So, you know, there's a lot of, you know, things about Eddie that I can be definitely grateful for. He will be definitely missed. And, you know, it's still a shock. A lot of times I'm still at a loss for words even when I'm asked about it. But, you know, again, he will be missed.
Yeah, yeah. Do you think that his death might start some of the guys in WWE thinking about how relentless the schedule is over there and possibly seeing TNA as a better prospect for them and their families?
I think people are already starting to, way before, you know, this already, you know, this happened. think people are already starting to. I think, TNA is definitely going to open the doors for a lot of people. Vince had the monopoly for so long. The great thing about TNA is that we do have the finances to inquire a lot of the boys from WWE if need be, if they needed to come over here, and where they can still earn a great living, and realize that there is life after WWE. I think competition is good for the business, as it's been shown that without competition, it's when things get stale and things aren't as good, storylines aren't as good. I think Vince is at his best when his back's up against the wall and he's got to come out fighting like he did during the WCW days, like he did when he bought the company from his dad and made WrestleMania. He's at his best when his back's against the wall. But when there's no competition for Vince and Vince is the only dog out there, it's almost like Vince doesn't really put enough effort into his storylines and his company the way he should. And I think TNA will make him, if anything, step up to that next level, just for the simple fact that, what we're doing and how people are adapting to our product.
What does the future hold for Team 3D?
The future definitely holds more things to accomplish. Like I said, the tag team titles in TNA, the NWA World Tag Team titles. Also, again, the All Japan Pro Wrestling Tag Team titles, the tournaments in Japan. Basically having, feuds with some of the great tag teams in TNA, such as A&W, Team Canada, the Naturals, 3 Count, the list goes on and on. I just think it's endless with the stuff that we can do. By doing and accomplishing all of this, we probably would have taken that next step into surpassing the legendary great team, the Road Warriors. And I think at that point, arguably, there won't be any arguments that we will be recognized as the best tag team ever. No one has been able to accomplish, if all of these feats are accomplished, no one will be able to accomplish those feats that we've accomplished. Just for the simple fact that, we've gotten the ECW tag team titles 8 times, WWE tag team titles, everything, WCW, a total of everything, 18-time World Tag Team Champion. So, not even the Great Warriors, Road Warriors have been able to accomplish that. And, even in my heart, though, this is me being a moth and a fan, but even after accomplishing that, the Road Warriors will always still be number 1 in my heart.
Awesome. Devon, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate you joining us.
No problem at all. My pleasure. Bye.